I'm picking up on something that you just said about micromanagers. My personal experience has been with micromanagers is that people micromanage mainly because they're insecure. They're not really, as an individual, they're not secure. So that's the main reason. Secondary reason is some people to make a point about their position of power. But I think that's also like a manifestation, hidden manifestation of insecurity as well. That's again just personal observation. Are you agreeing with this assessment, first of all? And second of all, can a person that's insecure, an individual that's insecure, be a real leader?
So it depends on the individual, and it depends on how they are sort of helped along the way. Some people can't. Some people just being insecure is part of their personality, and they don't know how to get from that to being secure. However, I've trained a lot of people who, quite frankly, I wasn't sure they were going to be able to jump the chasm, so to speak. And they did. And they became fantastic managers and fantastic leaders. So, one of the things that I found is you have to know how to approach developing them. I'm trying to get away from even using the word training. Training to me is for, basic skills. Developing is taking that person and developing their overall growth over time. It is possible for someone who starts off insecure, but they do have to learn how to get over their insecurities. So, in answer to your question, they do have to get to a point where they're not insecure before they can be really good at what they do, but they can start off as being insecure.
I think a lot of us have experience with micromanagers, either if you've experienced having a micromanager as a supervisor or actually are the micromanager.
Right.
I think, we can definitely relate on those two things. But since we're talking about the culture, I also wanted to piggyback on something that you had talked about earlier about if a positive leader creates a positive environment or negative creates a negative environment. I think it's all about the energy that you put out. So I think that if you, as the leader, your team comes to you, looks up to you for that leadership. And so if you do create that sort of environment, that's exactly what you're going to get. So if you're a leader and you have a lot of turnover within your team, I think that that's something that you also should reflect on. Is it me? Am I the problem? Because a lot of times that's what it is. And, I think also Adrian mentioned how sometimes it's one of those things where you're just like, well, I'm the boss, I'm the leader, and this is what it is. And you're trying to kind of uphold some sort of, I guess, pedestal, and that's not the way to go.
I used to always say, if you have to tell people you're the boss, then there's a problem.
Yeah, there's a problem.
Yes, I can't tell you how many communities I've gone into where the property manager is literally telling the other team members, I'm the property manager. You have to do what I say. And if they're having to do that, there's an issue. As you said, they need to reflect from within. I have seen that be able to be turned around, but you do really have to have the skill to work with somebody like that to get them turned around. The most important aspect of a high performance team, and think of when we're talking about microcultures, a high performance team is a microculture that we're looking to get. And by the way, one of the things you'll find about our company is we are very focused on what has been statistically and or scientifically proven. This came from the Aristotle study that was done by Google a few years ago. I think it was 2017. If not, it was 2018. And they found basically there were 5 things that high performance teams had to have. The most important one that was the most difficult to find was psychological safety. And psychological safety is where, it sounds like everybody's walking on eggshells and, nobody wants to hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that. It's really not like that at all. Psychological safety is about no blaming, no shaming, no naming. And being able to have conversations about what's going on within the team and the performance and things like that. And each person being able to put forth their ideas And if they notice something happen, that whether it be good or bad, be able to talk about it, and not only know they're not going to be shut down, but that people are going to listen to them and potentially even do something about it. And even if it's my teammate. So Nada, if you and I are on a team where there's a high level of psychological safety, and you feel like there's something that I agreed to do that I'm not doing, that or that I'm making some mistake, and maybe I'm not even aware that I make that mistake, you would feel very comfortable to point that out to me. And I'd listen to it, and I might disagree. And by the way, we might go behind closed doors and we might have a very loud disagreement. It's okay. Because what we're going to do is we are going to listen to each other, and we're going to work it out in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not right out at that very moment, but we are going to work through this. One of the things that they found, let's look at the opposite situation. And this example I'm going to use is from another study on high performance teams, which, by the way, found the same things. And all of the things they thought would lead to a high performance team, like having the most skilled people and the most experienced and the most educated and all of these things on the team, they found out those had absolutely nothing to do with whether that team was high performance or not. What they did find that was very interesting is they expected, this was in a hospital setting that they studied this, and they expected high performance teams to make the fewest mistakes. No, they had the most mistakes. But the reason they had the most mistakes is because they were the most reported mistakes. And what they found was, and I realize this isn't property management, this is healthcare, but it really applies to our site teams as well. What they found was that where there was little psychological safety, for example, nurses would be afraid to tell the doctor that they shouldn't prescribe a specific medication because it's going to interfere with something else the other person's taking and possibly be deadly. At a high performance team, they would feel comfortable that they could speak up to the doctor, and the doctor may not like it, but the doctor would listen to them, and they weren't going to lose their job or perhaps a promotion or something like that along the lines because they stood up to the doctor. So that's what psychological safety is. It's the ability to have this like ritualized vulnerability. You can say whatever you believe, and you're not going to be kicked out, so to speak, as a result of it.